I can't get enough pain. I like it rough, 'cause I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all.
Hi YouTube, I'm going to talk today about a subject that I've mentioned before that I'm going to talk about, and that's about all the testing that you have to do when you have gastrointestinal problems. Part of having fibromyalgia a lot of times has to do with having irritable bowel syndrome, which is a very common thing for if you have fibromyalgia, and it actually affects about 40% of the general population. So it's a very common thing. If you get turned on by this topic because I'm going to talk about, you know, butts and poop and stuff like that, please feel free to exit this video. I won't feel bad. But if you're just going to post a hate or comment, then don't. Because I'm inviting you to leave this video. Irritable bowel syndrome has to do with everything that basically happens within your intestinal problems. That means you can suffer from nausea and throwing up and stomach aches and diarrhea and constipation, and it doesn't have to do with any other existing condition like having colitis or Crohn. Now, when you have fibromyalgia and you start going through the process, you need to focus on the different symptoms. The way you treat fibromyalgia is you treat each symptom. You don't treat the actual disease because we don't really know what the disease itself is. So that is supposed to, like diabetes, where you treat the diabetes. You don't treat the symptoms. You don't treat the dryness in the mouth. You treat the sugar levels. Now, a lot of people who go to a gastro doctor get referred to doing endoscopic procedures. Endoscopic is when you use a little camera to go check out different things in your body. It's very common. It's a wonderful technology because it basically allows us to see what's going on inside a human body without necessarily being that invasive. And that's the key word. It's not that invasive. So there's basically two major testing that you can do within this group when you have irritable bowel syndrome. One is when you do the gastroscope, and that's basically when they put it down your throat. And the other one is called colonscopy, which basically means that they're putting a little tiny camera through your ass. But whatever. Now, the gastroscope is really not that complicated. You're supposed to be fasting for about 4 hours, I think, before you come with somebody that accompanies you, because there's two ways of doing this test. You could decide to go under it's not going under completely. It's a very light sedative that basically knocks you up, but only for a very small. They make you sleep for a little while. Now, if you do this, you have to have somebody to accompany you because you stay woozy for a while. Now, apparently, I had a choice because the nurse, when she came in, said it is possible to do this without having anesthesia, and I decided not to. So they give you some kind of spray that basically helps numb the back of your throat. The nurse holds you down because when they put the tube down your throat, you basically have a natural gag reflex, which makes your entire body move, which can be kind of a problem. The process itself took about 5 minutes. When it was done, and that was it. I mean, it's really not such a big deal. Where most people start kind of, you know, going off track is when it comes to the colonoscopy. The colonoscopy, first of all, it's not what it used to be. At least here, the preparation itself involves 2 steps. One is you take a laxative. You take 2 laxatives. One 24 hours and one 48 hours before. And then 24 hours before, you also drink this drink, and you drink it again, I don't know, about 12 hours before. The drink itself is not 4 liters of this gross drink. It's about a glass and a half. Basically, you take a glass and a half of water, and you mix it with this powder. It kind of tastes like orange juice, bad orange juice, I guess. I don't really like it. I just drank it, and that was done. You're supposed to drink about 2 liters of water and the preceding 24 hours, which is really not that difficult for most people. And that's it. You have to go through this. You really don't want to mess with it, because if your colon is not completely clean on the inside, then you might have to redo the test. So my advice is, even if you think you suffer from diarrhea, etc., the doctors recommend don't mess around with this, just do the preparation. The preparation is really not that bad. I do recommend sticking around next to a bathroom, and I have to say that the worst time is about, I don't know, about 6 hours before. But that's it. I mean, it's really not such a big deal. You can drink water, and it's, I'm not going to say that it's a pleasant procedure, but it's really not that complicated as a lot of people make it sound. The procedure itself, you go in and they basically help you sleep. So you don't even feel anything during the test. And then you come out and you're done. So it's really not a difficult test. And yet a lot of people don't do this. If you suffer from the symptoms that I've mentioned in the beginning that are part of irritable bowel syndrome, then it might not be irritable bowel syndrome. You see, the way you diagnose IBS is by ruling out other conditions. Just like fibromyalgia, you basically don't get diagnosed with fibromyalgia without ruling out other things. So again, with IBS, you rule out other things, and those other things can be like colon cancer, and it can be colitis, and it can be Crohn, which are very, very, very difficult conditions. And believe me, if you have those conditions, you better be aware of them so you can treat them. So you might just have irritable bowel syndrome, but don't decide for yourself that that's what you have without doing the proper testing first. And the testing, again, is just so simple. I'm always amazed at how many people I know that suffer from probably irritable bowel syndrome, but don't get tested. I mean, I feel so much more relaxed after doing this test. Right, I didn't treat the symptom itself yet. I still suffer from irritable bowel syndrome, and believe me, when you have one of those attacks, all you feel like doing is you feel like a really painful, slow death. But I know that I just have to get over it, and it's not an ominous sign that I have something else. People, and this is what I found out when I started reading about the information about this test. If you're over 50, it's highly recommended you get this test done every 5 years. And the reason is to rule out colon cancer, which your chances of getting apparently over 50 are quite high. Now, if you do the test and they found a polyp, I think it's called in English, inside your colon, they just remove it at that moment. You don't have to reschedule, you don't have to do the test again, they just remove it, and that's it. And sometimes those polyps can develop into a tumor, which can it can be a cancerous cell. So it's that simple. And here's the thing, if you end up having colon cancer, by the time you realize you have colon cancer, a lot of times it's too late. A lot of times the way you get sent to see if you have colon cancer is because you have blood in your stool. And if you have blood in your stool, that's usually one step too much. So I highly recommend that if you're over 50 and you have to do the test and your doctor recommends it, go do the test. And because this is something that's very relevant for people with fibromyalgia, go test. Make sure that it's really not something else. Because, you know, having fibromyalgia is bad enough. Do you really want to add to the whole thing another condition that is progressed? If you have something else and you know you can treat it, you can live with it. But if it's something else and you just let it progress, then really your life quality will go way down. And it's, again, it's not like our starting point is that high. So I wanted to do this video for a long time because I really hope that this might convince some people that have been postponing this test for weeks, months, years even, to go do the damn test and just get it done with. Because your health, really, this is something, fibromyalgia, there's not a lot you can do, but this is something you can do. So go and do the test.